Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Louise Huber begins now.
Good evening. Bridgewater is on the brink of a healthcare crisis with the looming closure of a major medical practice set to impact local providers who could be forced to scale down their services. Refusing to give up the fight, community organisations are calling on those in power to mend the mess.
A disadvantaged community flooded with angst 2 weeks after Greenpoint Health Centre's provider announced its doors will close in December.
The community's hurting. It's concerned. It's worried. They feel a bit abandoned.
We have some of the highest disadvantage indicators, and also a lot of people with chronic health management issues as well as mental health management issues.
Priceline Pharmacy is among those set to suffer, currently providing prescriptions to 5,000 Greenpoint clients.
The experience that we have here when people are unable to see their doctor is that often their conditions might go undiagnosed or that they aren't able to get medications or prescriptions, and often we see that they just end up in the Royal.
And while the chemist would continue to trade, its staff numbers and pharmaceutical services would be severely scaled back.
Pharmacists have been able to increase their scope of practice in the last couple of years, so things like vaccinations and do more things around packaging medications. So some of those things will be impacted.
There's a dire lack of healthcare nearby. Many GPs closing their books thanks to high demand. Concerned some may miss out, Labor is demanding the state government work closely and quickly with its federal counterpart on a cure.
We are working on a resolution to ensure that services are there for the local community. But we also need the federal government to step up to ensure that we do have greater access to GPs.
To stop our health crisis from spiralling out of control. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
There's concerns about the timeframe of an independent review into Tasmanian harness racing. Originally slated for mid-year release, but now due for year's end, Labor and stakeholders say the industry is stuck under a cloud.
The impact that this is having on the industry for almost 200 days now is really significant. It's putting a lot of pressure onto participants. We've heard from one harness driver in particular who said he doesn't feel safe to come to the races.
The timeframe's just taken away from the positive stuff that's been going on. I mean, the Tasmanian horse raced in the world's richest harness race and ran 4th only a few weeks ago.
Racing Minister Felix Ellis says it was investigator Mr Murray who requested the extension, also refuting that the terms of reference are too narrow, saying any other matters have been referred to relevant authorities. Bus company Kinetic is driving diversity in the state by bringing its Women Up Front campaign to Tasmania. It says the program is helping the sector avoid worker shortages, which are being felt by others.
Nanette Kennedy is just weeks away from becoming a fully qualified bus driver.
Anyone can have a go. If you've got a car licence, it's no different than learning how to drive a car.
Wanting more women in its workforce, Kinetic Buses has launched its Women Up Front program in Tassie, after success on the mainland.
We've just taken an intake of 12 drivers. Almost a third of our drivers are actually female. And the idea is to open up opportunities for women and just remove those barriers.
3 years ago, the workforce was made up of around 90% of men, and they've got a big goal in sight.
We've got a very ambitious target of getting to 50% female drivers by 2030.
For Nanette, the training on offer was the driving force behind her moving from the transit centre to behind the wheel, and she wants others to jump on board too.
I think it's a great idea. There's no reason why they can't. Yeah, you see a lot of women drivers out there in heavy vehicles, so yeah, it's good.
Kinetic says programs like this means it's not feeling the effects of driver shortages, like competitor Metro.
Particularly the last 6 months has been really successful, and I think we're actually in a really good space at the moment in a lot of our businesses. Tasmania is in a really good place, and that's through those targeted campaigns.
Talia Jordan, 7 Tasmania News.
Those on Hobart's waterfront were treated to a special aircraft flyover this afternoon. The Royal Australian Air Force's KA-350 King Air took to the skies above the Salamanca market just after midday in recognition of this year's Legacy Centenary Torch Relay. The Launceston and Hobart legs of the tour wrapped up earlier this week. It now heads to Melbourne for the final leg. Legacy supports Australian families of ex-servicemen and women. A multi-day camp in Kingston is helping encourage non-verbal children participate in everyday life situations. 11 families from across Tasmania are hoping to improve their kids' communication skills to participate fully in the community.
14-year-old Grace Baxter is non-verbal. In everyday situations, it's tricky for her to express how she's feeling.
Just going out into the community because we had a lot of meltdowns and, as I said, a lot of frustration.
Grace is one of many who use an augmentative alternative communication system. She uses pictures and words to communicate with her mother and sister.
Partly page 12 we can see.
There are 11 families at the Variety Motor Mouth Camp in Kingston, encouraging children who are living with communication disabilities to practice their conversation skills through a petting zoo, music workshops and archery.
They get some understanding by using the symbols, but it's also showing them how to use the symbols to express their feelings and what they're thinking.
Gaining important life skills like being able to complete shopping solo.
Joseph, how have you found the day? What's been your favourite part?
I'm one of the camp mentors, and my favourite part of camp is the shop, where I am the shopkeeper.
We'd love to see more of these camps across the state. We'd love to be able to expand the camp and attract more children and have more families with us.
1 in 7 people face communication challenges nationwide. Camps like these can help non-verbal members of the community participate in everyday life and be confident doing it.
For her to be able to, communicate what she wants and her needs is really special, and I think a lot of the time you take your words for granted.
Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
Green Thumbs have celebrated the relaunch of the Understory Network's Home Growers scheme after a 5-year hiatus. Established in 1995, the initiative supplies people with seeds to grow native and endangered plants in their own backyards. The Tasmanian Community Fund supporting its rejuvenation with a $30,000 grant.
We try and give people seed that occurs in their local area, so they're growing little tufty poas, ground covers, rushes for their ponds.
Native species in our natural environment are really critical for wildlife and for our health overall.
Around 50 keen gardeners have already applied to get their hands dirty. Returning to our Bathurst coverage now, where Brodie Kostecki has stormed to a thrilling top 10 shootout win in the Bathurst 1000. On pole for tomorrow's race, it'll take something special to deny the championship leader his first King of the Mountain crown.
Mount Panorama, picture perfect from the air. The same couldn't be said at ground level. The mountain taking its fair share of victims in the support categories, but it's as familiar as riding a bike for champions of years gone by. Legends from across the decades back on the track in famous cars celebrating Bathurst's 60th anniversary.
To drive around a magnificent circuit like this, the sun's out, it's great, the crowd's enormous this year.
Time to shake and bake, the real crowd pleaser, the top 10 shootout. 50 high-octane minutes, 1 lap. Only perfection is good enough for these drivers.
Just locked the left front and dumped half a second before we even started.
The first 5 all went top. The current king, quickest of the lot.
Van Gisbergen has blitzed them thus far.
His reign didn't last long.
And it's the best that we have seen so far.
Only 20, Brock Feeney, Triple 8's crown prince of the mountain.
Dreamed of doing laps like this my whole life, so pretty special to get a run around here.
Waters, Golding, Di Pasquale couldn't top him. Challenge accepted by Brodie Kostecki.
The best that we've seen over the top of the hill.
A lap for the ages.
And he's put nearly half a second on the field to uncork
something special at Bathurst.
On pole, at advantage to the championship leader. At Mount Panorama, Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
The Jack Jumpers have recorded their first win of the season, defeating defending champs Sydney Kings. Milton Doyle's 21 points lifted the team, the Star import hitting vital shots in their home opener.
Another Jack Jumpers season, another sold-out home crowd. When they said the Jack Jumpers were a smashing success, they didn't mean this.
Crack. Backboard's done.
Here it is.
Isn't that Jackson great?
But that didn't stop the JJs, who got a score on the board early.
Jack McVeigh gets to that little left hand.
Despite the ladder leaders having a 1-point lead at the end of the first quarter, Scott Roth's squad built a lead they wouldn't relinquish.
The fierce defense inside.
I like that. That's a good comparison. Is a siren assassin. Ants is back.
The Ants went on a 6-0 run heading towards half-time. Milton Doyle still the star.
Ball in the hands of the right man. Crosses over on Tui. How easy it is, coach. Poetry in slow motion.
The Jack Jumpers controlling the game all through the second half.
Crawford behind the back, falling away.
Just stops on a dime, doesn't he?
The pressure on the Kings, who couldn't find a way back.
Kings looking for a good shot. Adams, beautiful finish.
Down by 8 in the last seconds after missing 9 free throws. The reigning champions defeated.
The Jack Jumpers defend the island for the first time in NBL 24. 80-72 the final score.
A crucial win over the club's biggest rivals.
To start off, obviously, at home in this situation and to defend the island was our #1 goal coming in here, obviously, and to start the season with a home victory is obviously really nice.
Just the energy from the crowd uplifted us.
The team fly out today, playing Melbourne tomorrow.
They got size and athletic ability and tough-minded guys, and I'm expecting a dogfight.
Talia Jordan, 7 Tasmania News.
Good evening. Today, Hobart 17 degrees, Launceston 18, Burnie 15, 17 in Devonport, with minimum temperatures generally 1 to 5 degrees above average. Friendly Beaches, the state's top today with 18, Flinders Island, Smithton and Ouse all 16. King Island, Low Head and St Helens, Bry Island and Grove all 15. Strawn 14, Lyweenie had an overnight low of -2, reaching 9 degrees today. Today we saw mostly overcast low-level cloud over the southwest, with some of that cloud extending over the northeast this afternoon. Very little cloud across the country, with just some lower cloud about eastern and southeastern coastline of our mainland. Small amounts of convective cloud sits over parts of southeastern Australia, with a few thunderstorms over the region of the Kimberley and North WA. Tomorrow, that large high sits to the west, while a trough over Western Australia and Queensland continues to develop. To coastal waters, northwest to southwesterly winds 10 to 20 knots, reaching up to 30 knots in the south, with winds tending variable to 10 knots about the east coast. Southwesterly swells 3 to 4 metres in the west and south, and up to 3.5 metres offshore in the south. A gale warning has been issued for coastal waters tomorrow between Tasman Island to Low Rocky Point. The forecast tomorrow, Hobart and Ouse, partly cloudy 17 degrees, also partly cloudy in Richmond with 18. Launceston, partly cloudy 19, mostly sunny in Devonport, expecting 16, partly cloudy in Deloraine 17. Burnie 17, mostly sunny in Strawn, a shower or 2 and 14, cloudy in Curry with 14 degrees also. Partly cloudy and 17 in St Helens, mostly sunny in Swansea, 17's the top, partly cloudy on Flinders Island with Whitemark expecting a top of 16. Monday, showers about the west and far south, grading to mostly fine conditions across the state in the north and northeast. Tuesday, light showers about the west and far south, likely to ease in the evening. Wednesday, light showers continuing about the west. To the mainland capital cities tomorrow, Perth, mostly sunny 26, similar conditions in Adelaide 22, partly cloudy in Canberra with 20 degrees, also partly cloudy in Darwin with 34. And current conditions in Hobart, it's partly cloudy with 13 degrees, mostly sunny and 15 in Launceston, also partly cloudy in Devonport with 13. And Louise, that's all in weather this Saturday evening.
And that's all your news for now. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good evening. Good night.